Hi, my name is Peter Shin, and I'll be making a study guide for the current unit that we are working on about elections and voter turnouts and the demographics of it. Just a little background on the United States of America is that the population turns out to be about 327 million people, but those who actually vote turns out to be only 60%, which is 139 million. In 1789, only white male property owners, estimated to be 1 of 15 men, could actually vote for their government. Now, key figures were Benjamin Franklin and Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Stanton, and they were always fighting for suffrage and for the right to vote for African Americans and for women. There are always political trends and economic trends that occur in the United States history, but in this case, it's really the voter turnout and how it shifted because of these two trends. Now, the first is the elimination of certain restrictions and the state's power to vote, which is by the federal power. Over the course of many years, starting from the beginning of American history till now, there are really three main stages of three major people or major types of people that were able to vote. Now, this includes the religious people, which were mainly Christian people, and then later African Americans, then later to women. In American history, before it became its own independent country, we can see that the qualifications for people to vote actually required them to be Christian or to be affiliated with the Christianity religion. Now, this was a big part of their life, and this was shown in the House of Burgesses as an example. Now, women in American history has always been struggling to find their votes, and it only happened in 1920 when they were able to find their suffrage due to the key figures Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Alice Paul, Ida B. Wells, and Lucy Burns. African Americans in American history were always disfranchised and became the largest group that were not able to vote for American history. And they even had to resort to the Three-Fifths Compromise. But after the Civil War, the 15th Amendment was activated, which stated that no citizen shall be denied the right to vote. Following the 2016 presidential election and the 2018 midterms, there's the electoral process which has three goals, which is to describe different methods of nomination, list which a voter may cast their ballot, and how the administration of election can help democracy. Now, democracy shapes our country into what we are today. Starting with the presidential election, there are really three ways that people from any party or group can run for office. This can be done by self-announcement, caucus, and convention. The most popular way that most people run for office is by convention, and which is by all major party becomes the nominee for a party. The direct primary is an intra-party election, which is an election held within a party to choose a candidate for a general election. Now, the states, not the parties, will provide the election polls for these stations. A closed primary primarily serves to encourage party unity and prevent members of other parties to sabotage the others. Now, this can be done by voting other weak candidates for the other party. And there are pros and cons of having a closed primary, which first is preventing from one party to raid the other to choose and nominate a weaker candidate, but also the cons is that it forces voters to be party affiliated, which excludes independent voters from the nomination process. And finally, we come to open primary, which means that any qualified voter can cast a ballot. However, there are very qualified restrictions. For example, you must be a citizen and you must have a certain age, which in America is 18. And in the US, we have 435 House of Representatives, 100 Senates, and 3 from the Washington District. And to win a presidential election, you must have 270 votes, which in this process would be called an electoral college. As said about the open primary, there are voter qualifications, which means that you need to have citizenship, and other states may require other restrictions, and you must have residency in the United States, meaning you must have a house, you must be 18 years old, and you must have pre-registered or registered for the voters registration process. Now, there are two types of money. It's called soft versus hard money. And soft money is funds raised and spent by political parties, corporation labor unions that can only be spent on activities that do not affect the elections of candidates. However, hard money is money that is regulated by the federal elections commissions that can be used to support an election of a specific candidate. On the other side, of soft money versus hard money, there's this thing called dark money. Dark money refers to the funds donated to nonprofit organizations that in turn spend it in order to influence elections. Now, these nonprofit organizations can receive an unlimited amount of donations and they're not required to disclose their donors. Financing campaigns is a big part of campaigning for the presidential election, and the objective is to explain the issues regarding campaign spendings. And the major sources of financial support they get is from small contributors, fat cats, candidates, PACs, and temporary. Small contributors come out to be about $5 to $10, which is about 10% of voting age population. And the fat cats are mostly from rich industries looking for votes for the presidents. And candidates use their own money. And PACs are political action committees, which are a special interest group with a stake in politics. And temporary is fundraisers and dinners or any picnics to provide for public funds. Voters can be influenced by any of family, school, occupation, race, or mass media. Really, anything could change their votes or even influence how they feel about a political party or political law. There are many ways to measure votes, but in this case, there are straw votes, scientific polling, and interviewing. Straw votes is not the best because it's the least accurate because it focuses on quantity rather than the quality of the votes. Scientific polling is extremely complex, most accurate though, which is defining the universe, the whole population the poll wants to measure. And interviewing is mostly done over the phone. It used to be done over skipping over houses and asking them which political party they're going to vote for. And this was the study guide for the current unit we are studying for. Thank you for watching.